Good morning. This is Maria Lopez speaking, and I'm going to present a paper called Participatory Processes Impelling Urban Socioecosystem Renewal, Social Sustainability from an Environmental Approach. Nowadays, technical architectural approaches are not sufficient for regeneration processes in our cities. There is a real and incontestable need of new tools for reaching more complex situations. Understanding urban renewal as a participatory process makes it possible to have a strong link between the technical proposal to improve habitability and the inhabitants' perception of the improvement of their quality of life related to the real needs. So when we take decisions from the studies, this kind of studies of regeneration studies to improve our neighborhoods and cities, we can often find citizens' reaction on those improvements, since they do not feel the same necessities that could have been detected objectively. This paper presents a process proposal to integrate environmental indicators with perceptive information from citizens in order to create a participative process with more successful possibilities regarding a regenerative urban intervention. So the main objective of this research is to define, develop, and apply the aspects, criteria, processes, and indicators derived from the adoption of the socio-ecosystemic approach. This approach is focused on the improvement of habitability and sustainability conditions, environmentally, economically, and socially speaking, in those urban areas presenting signs of obsolescence, mainly in the Andalusian cities, but it is also extrapolated to any other similar cities all over the world. So adopting this socio-ecosystemic approach, it is thoroughly connected to the physical and environmental supportive ecosystems of the territory, and this allows us to ensure the basic sustainability requirements linked to this ecosystem balance and to benefit from its own resilient capacity. Diverse working tools have been developed during the research. In this article, firstly, the validity of the approach is verified, and secondly, one of the considered tools, only just one in this case, is developed thanks to an experimental case study carried out in the Welling neighborhood in Malaga, Spain. The socio-ecosystemic approach. To define ecosystem services, the concept of service provision unit is adopted, which can help to quantify them and therefore to develop variables and their subsequent indicators. Therefore, an ecosystem service must be primarily quantifiable. The same would apply to an urban dimension of socio-ecosystemic services. This research develops a method to link urban context conditions with the population's basic needs in a certain urban environment. From an ecosystem approach, we define the socio-ecosystemic services of a neighborhood as support services, supply services, regulation and cultural services, each of which is compressed by different aspects, allowing us to address all needs and requirements that must be provided in order to ensure a high-quality life. Sustainability indicators and obsolescence index. A preliminary study of the state of the art was conducted in order to define the most suitable sustainability indicators that should be considered for this research. Different national and international resources have been studied. Once the existing sustainability indicators have been analyzed, as well as the real and daily needs of residents in a neighborhood, an obsolescence index is defined. This index is useful for determining and defining the problems that affect Andalusian neighborhoods, such as the inability to provide certain socio-ecosystemic services, in order to propose potential urban regeneration processes to improve residents' quality of life. In defining this index, the most suitable indicators have been selected according to the areas of work predefined but the neighborhood needs-based approach, in which provide an opportunity to work on future improvements based on the corresponding strategies. Measures and tools applicable. From this point, a technical analysis, but it is also essential to include inhabitants' perception of the situation and potential possibilities for improvement. Some experiments have been conducted for this purpose in order to define the most suitable approach to select final tools. 3 different experiments which try to get inhabitants involved into the renewal process of the neighborhoods have been considered. Online surveys to association leaders defining the problems on their neighborhoods, surveys and interviews developed in local cases to neighbors, and surveys and working tables of workshops developed in local cases and related to the assessment of potential improvements in the neighborhood. The developed tool comprises a matrix of need to be assessed and detected in a specific neighborhood, as well as the potentially necessary improvements defined from a technical point of view. This tool is supported by the development of a survey that allows the participatory verification of these needs, and more importantly, their prioritization by the residents. So as it is shown here in the table, we have defined the needs to identify and evaluate, and then the required improvements that should be made or can be made. Based on this matrix, a survey is to simultaneously develop to translate the technical aspects to the citizen so that they can assess in a simple, practical, and understandable way the deficiencies of their neighborhood in socio-ecosystemic terms. The verification of these matrix tools, along with the complementary survey, is performed with fieldwork. This fieldwork has been developed as a verification case study in Welling neighborhood in Malaga. So this study has been developed with a kind of workshop focused on citizen participation. It was called Workshop Urbanate, Get Involved in Your Neighborhood. It took place in the neighborhood of Welling, Malaga, as I have said before, with the aim of raising awareness of the need to carry out participatory processes linked to urban regeneration, as well as serving as an experimental case for this research. The workshop was addressed to students and professionals, young people, elderly, unemployed, housewives and husbands, teachers, technicians, educators, and all citizens of any field interested in discussing about improving the habitability and sustainability of their neighborhoods through participatory processes. During the first phase, several conferences were held involving the participation of diverse personalities who assisted us throughout this stage by sharing their real or academic experiences on participatory projects. The second phase, dedicated to fieldwork, involved an approach to the neighborhood, where a series of surveys were carried out on various residents and some representatives from social organizations who wanted to take part in this workshop. This sample attempted to incorporate neighbors aged between 16 and 60, men and women from all social backgrounds. This to 3 personal interviews with the representatives of the neighborhood associations. Finally, the third phase involved conference both on real issues about citizen participation and the workshops on the analysis of the information gathered qualitatively through surveys. Statistical analysis, working with qualitative data, allow us to approach closer realities. Hence, we have used surveys to get closer to the social reality of a neighborhood. Data is not always accurate and precise. It depends on how it is presented. The data is used to search profiles and the profiles of the neighborhood. Then The defined survey provides a pattern. It also identifies the needs and deficiencies. For example, orienting the statistics to the hierarchy of people's needs. For this reason, we use a series of qualitative questions oriented to this search for priorities. This survey tool, together with matrix tools used during the workshop, allows to define in an unequivocal and prioritized way both the problems and needs detected by the social agents and technical experts, as well as the opportunities and potential strategies to be developed to improve the neighborhood. Results and conclusions. The obsolescence index of sustainable well showed the people perception of obsolescence in the neighborhood. Provision and regulation services are the main areas where people identify deficiencies. On the other hand, cultural and recreational services are those with the highest scores. So, from the experiment carried out in Welling, we can draw several conclusions regarding the validity of the implemented tools. The validity and usefulness of the selected obsolescence indicators to determine the deficiencies of the neighborhoods from a technical point of view is confirmed. Nevertheless, the relative importance of these deficiencies does not always correspond with the appreciation of the neighbors. Moreover, it does not even have to coincide with the appreciation of their own neighborhood associations, which theoretically represent the feeling of the neighborhood. Therefore, the experiment confirms that it becomes essential to consider the opinion from well-informed residents when it comes to define the deficiencies of their neighborhood and propose improvements. This can only be done through participatory processes that directly involve the neighbors in gathering reliable information on their daily needs and, above all, in finding out what are the priorities that the neighbors perceive regarding the satisfaction of their daily needs. The process and methodology defined and the matrix and survey tools developed allow a wide range of possibilities of extrapolation for different Andalusian cases. So, in conclusion, although there is a broad technical knowledge that sets us on the right track to reach the objective presented from a technical point of view, we should never forget the social point of view that is key when it comes to deciding the way an action can be designed, the way an action can be designed and applied in order for it to be effective and perceived in a positive way by residents. Understanding the urban renewal as a participative process makes possible the connection between technical proposals to improve habitability and inhabitants' perception of the improvement of their quality of life related to their real necessities. Thank you very much.